Hello and welcome to another episode of Mike Meets, and today's episode is a really special one because it's actually introducing our new associate Heather, but first of all I just want to give a shout out to Stafford College, who's allowed us to come into their studio today and use their facilities. So thanks Stafford College for your support, and welcome to Heather. So thanks for joining us and jumping on this video. What I'd like you to do, if you don't mind, is first of all kind of tell everybody out there a little bit about you, your background, and then we'll kind of get into your job role afterwards, if that's okay.
Yeah, well, I'm Heather. I'm Stafford born and bred. I've got, what have I got? I've got a long history of customer service. I'm a mom, I'm a runner. There's lots of things really, but
so Stafford born and bred. Where were you born in Stafford then?
Stafford Hospital, yeah.
Wow.
Castletown to Doxey to Stafford Town Centre, and then over out to Silkmore.
Right. Okay. So you've obviously know all the parts of all the parts of Stafford. So Stafford Hospital is where you were born. We're not going to go into sort of how many years ago that might have been.
It's still standing, so am I.
So in terms of what you've seen over the years with Stafford and kind of the things that have changed in terms of town centres, new buildings, I imagine you've seen some massive drastic changes over those years within Stafford.
Yeah, and being Stafford College is one of them. I came to Stafford College first in the year 2000.
Wow.
I've just gone past my old English literature classroom.
Oh wow, okay.
And seeing the changes just within this building is massive. Stafford is constantly evolving. So, but it's still keeping its character and its charm as well. So.
Yeah, and like even what you've just said there about the building that we're in now, obviously it's changed drastically. It changed drastically over the last kind of 2 years when they added the kind of technology centre and bits and pieces on, didn't they? So. Yeah. We're not going to mention too much about the changes in terms of the roadworks, but things like sort of the GE sites and bits and pieces where they've now obviously gone, and we've now got sort of housing developments in place of those. Like I say, the town centre changing. So what is it about Stafford that you love the most, if there is one thing?
I think it's because it's got everything, or anything that it doesn't have is within easy reach.
Yeah.
You're not far from anywhere. We've got Cannock Chase, we've got sort of Birmingham is half an hour away. It's not
train. Obviously, we can go to Birmingham, Manchester.
London,
yeah.
And even up to Edinburgh. You've got a direct link to Scotland as well. So everything's accessible, but it's also home. It's safe. I've raised my family here, and there's never been a worry about them taking themselves to the corner shop and stuff like that. Everyone's friendly.
It's a real community vibe, isn't it? Like,
absolutely,
obviously,
yeah.
We've only been in Stafford for 5 years in our house now. Before that, we were kind of in one of the villages outside, so still within Stafford if you technically look at the postcode. But for me, what I love is the sense of community that you have. And I know obviously there's people out there that are just not really too happy with how things are happening with roadworks and buildings in town not being utilised and that kind of thing. But what is paramount is the community spirit that we still have. And I think that, I don't know whether that's something that's more apparent now or whether it's something that's always been kind of at the heart of everybody. What would you say in regards to that?
I love Stafford communities. If you're from, I'm originally from Doxey, there's a saying, Doxey till I die. I will always be Doxey. But, whichever little pocket of Stafford, you have like an association and a home from that, as well as Stafford as a whole.
Yeah.
So it's sort of, but you can also be in all sorts of different communities within your community as well.
Yeah.
So,
So obviously you mentioned 2 girls. Did you
Yes.
say you've got? Yeah. So obviously you're familiar with the schooling and things like that in the area. So it's great that obviously you're kind of raising that next generation to come through in Stafford. You also mentioned about running.
Yep.
So you're part of some form of running club, or is it just something that you do solo, or how does that look?
Yeah, I'm part of Rising Brook Runners. I'm on the committee.
Oh, wow.
And it's not just a club of runners. You know, running is just something that we all do together.
Yeah.
You know, we've got such a vast range of people within the community there that, you know, we've got sort of, well, I call them a rock star, but we've got, you know, these social events with, you know, singers, and then, you know, we've got just all sorts of other things going within that running is just where we organise everything else.
Yeah. And that's quite good, isn't it? And like you say, the thing with running, obviously I don't profess to run. I used to do running a bit, but I always used to do it on my own. So I think the good thing with running clubs and things is that social element.
Yeah.
And if you're not going out and doing other things, let's say, you know, running something, you can keep yourself healthy and do whatever you want to do with that and improve on PBs or whatever people run for. But you've also got, like you say, you put your running trainers on, and you don't know whether him standing next to you is a counsellor or a lady that's running just in front of you. You've got a diverse range of people, haven't you?
Yeah.
And it's about coming together for more of a social gathering more than anything, isn't it, for you?
Absolutely. And it's, you know, it's just taking that little half an hour out of your day or your week to just shut off and be amongst people, and also, you know, move your body, like being active. I mean, within the group we've got teenagers who are still at school, and we've got grannies.
Right.
And I call them the super grands, you know, because they put me to shame.
Yeah.
And everybody in between, and we've got, you know, very highly professional people, but we've, you know, like we've still got school children who want to get away from the stress of work and school.
Yeah.
And family life, and it recharges you, and, you know, I can go into so many benefits of running.
Yeah.
And it's not for everybody, and it is difficult, but once you find it, you're in it, and you've got a love for it.
So okay then, so I'm going to put you on the spot now. So you said sort of half an hour there. So let's say an hour running. What distance would you do in an hour?
Within an hour, anywhere from sort of 4.5, 5 miles up to about 7 or 8.
Wow.
And within our club, we do mustering, so that, you know, somebody who wants to just complete the 5 miles of the route will complete the 5 miles quite, you know, reasonably well. But people who want a little bit more distance, or do have a natural more faster running speed, will cover more distance, because we keep up together, we all stick together.
Yeah.
And it, you know, there's no sort of egos or anything like that. It is just about, you know, we get high fives. And
supporting each other, and getting each other through it effectively, and again going back to that kind of escapism, if you like, of your day to day. It's kind of supporting each other through that as well, isn't it? It's like this is what this is for. So yeah, it's really good from that perspective. Okay, so that's your running kind of ticked off. So tell us a little bit about why you came to UMove.
It was going through the house selling, house buying process with my mum, who is older in life, but she found it so difficult. The communication was poor. You know, she was constantly chasing. She was asking questions on when she was viewing, and the people that were showing them didn't have the answers. So it would be something that she'd have to follow up at a later time. She just found it very sort of over stressful. For me, it was like, this is a really stressful process.
Yeah.
And then finding out that the You Move way is the focus on the way that You Move focuses on clients, of whether they're vendors or buyers. It is about the person and making that as stress-free. And it's for me, it's the way it should be done.
Yeah. And obviously you mentioned about it being stress-free. Obviously, disclaimer, we're not saying it's completely stress-free, but an element of that stress is taken away, isn't it, by the support that we provide on that kind of one-to-one basis as we need to. So in terms of, obviously that's kind of what your experience was like, and that's kind of why you've seen the niche with what we do. Have you always had a passion for sort of houses and that kind of thing? Or?
I love architecture. I love, buildings. I've always loved going over to my friends' houses, and, from decoration to, you can have 4 houses in a row that are all exactly the same, but they're all completely different.
Yeah.
And it is about it being a home, and how people adapt bricks and mortar to what makes it a home for them.
Yeah, and it is quite funny that as well, because I always refer to it as kind of, I'm doing a job that I love and helping people on that journey, but also it's scratching my voyeuristic itch.
Yeah.
Seeing in people's houses. So we're kind of lucky in that respect, right? So in terms of you being able to help people on their property journey, and obviously we're lucky that we've kind of found you, and hopefully we're going to try and grow market share within the area and help more people understand that there is another way, and the way that we feel it should be done. What are your kind of long, mid, short-term goals for you in the role? Where do you kind of see this taking you, if that makes sense?
I think it's a really difficult question to answer.
Yeah.
Because I've never done this before. It's completely new. But it engages my brain to ask more questions about not just our property, about the wider scope of things, and seeing where how places are being developed and what general areas are like, and being involved more in the communities. I think part of that is, one of the other things is when I've told people that I'm becoming an estate agent, they're like, oh, really?
Yeah.
And it's, then they go into the story of their experiences with estate agents, and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to be like that. This isn't what I'm getting into it for. Once you know how actually it's not. Estate agency is moving forward in a different way, and it's about time.
Yeah, and I suppose that comes with, if you think about how we buy and sell anything nowadays, obviously our buying habits have all changed drastically. you know, with Amazon coming along, we can buy pretty much whatever we want, have it delivered tomorrow. Obviously, it's not quite the same with housing, but there's an element of people that want to be able to kind of self-serve and go online and book their own viewings, put offers in on properties if they like it, and kind of have that agent hands-off approach, but also to leverage the online presence that we have and the online marketing that now everybody has access to, because let's face it, that's where people buy property now, and maximising that for people is kind of paramount to what we do, isn't it? So, so in terms of your future, do you see yourself kind of staying within Stafford, or do you see yourself ever kind of moving out of Stafford, or what's your sort of future plans in that regard?
I think it's this sort of question. I question myself on this all the time. I think wherever I've gone away for the weekend, for a day trip, wherever, for a week, I've gone, oh, I could live here. I could live here. This is nice.
Yeah.
So, you know, as much as Stafford is my hometown, there's a big world out there, you know, although we've got some brilliant other towns close by, you know, there's, you know, I love the countryside, I love outdoors, I'm not a fan of street lights. I have one right by my bedroom window, so it's like if I can just have a street, be away from a street light would be, you know, ideal, but you know, Stafford will always be home. Yeah. And
it's funny you say that, actually, because like you say, although we go to these places when we go on holiday or on day trips or whatever, I don't know about you, but every time me and the wife come back, we always are thankful for home, because it has got all the amenities we need. It's got a great community, it's got great access. We've got Cannock Chase on our doorstep, and you can always, when you're driving through the kind of rural areas to get here, it's like, we're home. And it's just that nice feeling that you get. Okay.
Junction 12 and Junction 15 on the motorway, I'm like, oh yes,
we're there.
Nearly home now, that's it.
Okay.
The clouds have parted, it stopped raining, I'm home.
Yeah, that's it, it's like the eye of the storm.
Yeah.
So, okay, brilliant. In terms of you, so we've discussed your running, we've discussed your daughters, your kind of history within Stafford, we've discussed a little bit of your kind of job, or why you're looking to kind of get into this market. Tell us, if you can, a little bit more about Heather, away from all those other things. What is it, what else is it that you like to do?
I think I'm an animal lover, so, you know, trips to farms, zoos, walking past a field full of cows, I'm just like, hello. Dogs and stuff. So, you know, that's a big part of my life as well, is just loving animals.
Do you have pets yourself?
I don't currently. We did have an amazing dog, Jack, and he's irreplaceable. My daughter, my youngest, wants a cat. My eldest is allergic.
Oh, okay.
So we have a debate. Which one's going to go? Which one's leaving first? You know, so I like to just be out, go for walks. You know, I was walking around Chasewater at the weekend, and just being outdoors. Yeah, so
you're quite I was going to say, quite outdoorsy type person, aren't you? You like to kind of be out in the rain.
I do like putting my slippers on as well.
Okay, well, thanks very much for joining us today. I know obviously one of your biggest challenges in the job role is the being in front of the camera, so I really appreciate you taking the time today, and we feel, as I've said to you before, we feel we've got a gem in finding you, so hopefully we can get on, help people on their property journey, and really change the stigma attached to estate agents. So thanks very much for joining us.
No problem.
So thanks all for joining us today, and once again thanks to Stafford College for allowing us the use of their fantastic facilities here. Join us next time for another episode of Mike Meets.